Good morning, students. So we are continuing module 3, environmental laws from Indian perspective. So in today's lecture we are going to study about very important two very important laws: Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981, and we are also going to study the most important act as far as environmental concerns are there, the Environmental Protection Act 1986. It was passed in the year 1986. The Environmental Protection Act is very popularly known as the Umbrella Act. Just like umbrella protects us from heavy rain, from hot sunshine, similarly under the umbrella of the Environmental Protection Act, all other environmental acts, be it Air Pollution Act, be it Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act, be it Water Cess Act, be the powers of and functions of the Central Pollution Control Board, that is the CPCB, the State Pollution Control Board, that is the SPCB, everything is protected. So you can very well guess that the Environmental Protection Act 1986, alias the Umbrella Act, is very important. But first we will go through the important postulates and provisions of the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981. So the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981 it's a very essential environmental legislation in India, which aimed at controlling and reducing air pollution in India. So there are very important aspects of Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act, which we will discuss in this particular lecture. So the primary objective of basically Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act was to provide for the prevention, control and abatement of air pollution, and to establish boards at the central and state levels to carry out the purpose of control of air pollution. So this particular act defines air pollutants, air pollution, emission, control equipments, all the basic terminologies. Air pollutant can be referred to as any solid, liquid or gaseous substances, including noise, present in the atmosphere in such a concentration as may be or tend to be injurious to human being or other living creatures of plants or property or environment. So under the provisions of Water Pollution and Control of Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act and Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act, basically the Central Pollution Control Board, the State Pollution Control Board, etc. were established. The Central Pollution Control Board coordinates activities among all the State Pollution Control Board, that is the SPCBs, and provides technical assistance. The powers and functions of the State Pollution Control Board and its chief coordinator, the Central Pollution Control Board, all are vested and defined as per these acts. Okay. So I've told you air pollutant, air pollution. Air pollution is basically the contamination of air with several harmful, toxic and unwanted gaseous pollutants. Emission standards denote legally the established limits on the amount of specific air pollutants that can be released from different sources, including industrial plants, vehicles and other equipments. The control equipment at the same time refers to devices or contraptions that are installed to reduce or eliminate the emission of air pollutants. So control equipment can be anything which helps in control of the air pollutants and reduce air pollution. So there can be chimneys installed in basically the stacks of filters installed in the stacks and chimneys. They can be electrostatic precipitators, which basically control and capture the flying ash, fly ash. Then they can be wet scrubbers, dry scrubbers, cyclone separators, everything which basically collect and gather all the particulates, the air pollutants, etc. So I have told you students, the Central Pollution Control Board, State Pollution Control Boards, they have been established and the provisions have been laid under the provisions of basically the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act and Water Prevention and Control of Pollution. The air pollution control areas, the state governments, after consultation with the state pollution control boards, may declare certain regions as air pollution control areas. Industries in these areas must obtain consent to operate and comply with specific pollution control measures. So provisions for preventing and controlling air pollution. So emission standards have been laid down. A law was passed which is known as NAAQS. The NAAQS is basically National Ambient Air Quality Standards. In short, it is referred to as NAAQS. NAAQS, National Ambient Air Quality Standards. It was passed in the year 2009, and it lays down the provision of or limitations of maximum amount of concentration of sulfur dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, that is the NOx, ozone, etc. in air. And under the provisions of the National Ambient Air Quality Standard, the noise level has also been defined for the daytime and the night time in the specific areas. Okay. So there are penalties for non-compliance with the act. So financial fines are there if any industry is violating the provisions, the limitations. Then financial fines can be imposed. Okay, they can be financially charged with penalties. Then if they are totally non-complying and even in spite of giving several warnings and penalties, if the industries are not deferring from creating pollution, then the environmental clearance given to the industry can be revoked and the industry can be issued closure order. Then there are legal prosecutions also. Violators of Air Act can face legal prosecution, just like if you remember, in the year 1984, 3rd December 1984, there was a huge release of pollution, air pollution from a factory in Bhopal, that is popularly known as the Bhopal gas tragedy. So basically methyl isocyanate was leaked into the near about 3 kilometer region surrounding the industry, from where the leakage was occurring. And in the 3 kilometer area, many people died, many people were severely injured, crippled for life, and even till today it has become almost hereditary, the infections and all, right? So they were brought to justice, they were booked for the perpetration and they were brought to justice. So such legal prosecutions occur for those who are totally non-complying and spreading pollution. Then role of public, it's very important, public awareness and public vigilance is very important in this regard, be it water pollution, be it air pollution. Vigilant and aware public, they can report to the agencies about the pollution that is being created and the agencies can look into the matter. So it's very important to make the public aware of the situation, aware of the provisions through mass media, social media, which are very much popular nowadays. So there have been certain amendments from time to time. Okay. So one more important point I would like to say about the citizens' role. The Air Pollution Act, it encourages the public participation by allowing citizens to report incidents of air pollution and bring them to the notice of the authorities. So time to time amendments have been done. The amendments aim to strengthen the regulatory framework and improve the compliance. So if you ask about this particular act, that sir, what is the significance of this particular act, so I would say that the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981 plays a very crucial and critical role in protecting and improving the air quality in India. It lays down a comprehensive legal framework for regulating and mitigating air pollution and thus contributing to environmental protection and public health and safety, right? So students, now I would like to discuss about the Environmental Protection Act 1986, which I have referred to as the Umbrella Act. Okay, because under the provisions of the Environmental Protection Act, all other acts and laws take shelter. They are protected and safeguarded under the provisions of the Environmental Protection Act 1986. So the Environmental Protection Act 1986 is a very comprehensive legal legislation enacted in India to provide for protection and improvement of the environment. The key objective of the Environmental Protection Act 1986 lies in, basically the primary objective of the act is to act as an umbrella legislation that provides a framework for the coordination of activities of various central and state authorities established under previous environmental laws. It aims to protect and improve the environment and prevent hazards to human beings and other living creatures, plants and properties. It also promotes sustainability, the concept of sustainability. It provides a regulatory framework, and it also seeks to create mass public awareness among the common people so that each and every individual participates in the process of prevention of pollution and control of, or rather eradication of, or minimization of, mitigation of pollution. So scope and applicability of the act. So it's a very wide act, right? Under the periphery of this, under this, that is why it's called Umbrella Act. Under its provisions, many other acts are safeguarded. So the act defines key terms like environment, environmental pollutants, hazardous substances, occupier. Okay. The power of central government is empowered to take measures necessary to protect and improve the environment, even if there are certain, there are certain state lists, there are certain union list and certain common list, which is known as concurrent list, where state and central both governments have the power. But the central governments have been bestowed power by this act to act upon the state list also, even if it is a matter of public safety and concern. Okay. The prevention, control and abatement of environmental pollution, it was basically strengthened by this Umbrella Act. The act has a wide scope encompassing industrial, commercial and developmental activities with the potential to impact the environment. So while setting stringent standards, the act also allows for flexibility in implementing measures tailored to specific environmental changes. Emission standards, waste management, noise control, everything has been very meticulously defined and designated in this particular act. Okay. There are penalties and provisions of strict actions for the offences. The act specifies penalties for non-compliance with its provisions, which includes imprisonment for a term that may extend up to 5 years, or with a fine which may extend to 1 lakh rupees or both. Continued non-compliance after conviction can lead to additional fines and imprisonment. Environmental laboratories have been set up under the provisions of the Act. The central government can establish or recognize environmental laboratories to carry out the functions entrusted to them under the Act. These laboratories are responsible for analyzing samples and providing technical support for the enforcement of the Act. So regulatory clearance, local monitoring and public engagement, everything is defined and regulated by the Act. The state pollution control boards are given the power to grant necessary clearances, permits for industrial development activities and ensuring environmental sustainability. Environmental sustainability cannot be compromised on any ground, okay, which has to be taken care of. Then penalties are offences under the Act: imprisonment, liability, fines, imprisonment, liability, penalties, enforcement measures, and legal actions. Okay. So there have been recent amendments in this act in 2019. In the year 2019, there was an amendment, and the amendment was made to strengthen the enforcement. It increased penalties and fines to deter the environmental violations and ensure stricter enforcement. So 12 expanding coverage have been done, which introduced provisions to address emerging environmental concerns and expand the regulatory ambit of the act, embracing technological advancement to facilitate efficient monitoring and compliance with the environmental regulations. So if you ask me what is the significance of the act, so one thing I have told you, that it is basically the umbrella act. Under the provisions of this act, all other acts are given shelter, which are supposed for the environment. The Environmental Protection Act 1986 serves as a crucial piece of legislation in India's environmental governance. It provides a comprehensive legal framework for the protection and improvement of the environment, encompassing air, water, and soil quality, and addressing hazardous substances management. The Act's broad powers to the central government enable swift and effective action to safeguard the environmental and public health. So that's all for today, students. We'll discuss few more topics which are left in our syllabus in subsequent classes. Thanks as of now. Bye and take care.